Have you ever wondered if there's a place more crowded than the streets of New Delhi or busier than Tokyo's subway stations? The answer might surprise you: Bangladesh. In this South Asian country, the population density is so high that no matter where you go, it feels like people fill every available space. Behind this massive concentration of people, extreme poverty becomes visible at every corner. Many women with no other means of income end up turning to prostitution just to survive. The sight of people riding on the roofs of trains highlights the lack of resources and alternatives, showing how the shortage of space and opportunities impacts everyday life. If you want to better understand this reality and discover fascinating facts from different parts of the world, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support is essential for us to keep bringing stories that broaden our perspective on cultures and ways of life. Get ready to dive into a lesser-known and often misunderstood side of Bangladesh, a place where daily life challenges everything we think we know about coexistence and survival. Bangladesh holds a key spot in South Asia. Almost its entire border is shared with India, with a smaller connection to Myanmar, and it also opens up to the Bay of Bengal. In just over 147,000 square kilometers, more than 170 million people live here, making it one of the most populated countries in the world and turning population density into one of its biggest challenges. Behind its traditional customs and lively markets lies a complex reality. Infrastructure struggles to keep up with rapid growth. Sanitation still doesn't reach all areas, and the transportation system is under constant pressure to handle increasing demand. These challenges, while significant, don't take away from the country's cultural and economic importance. Instead, they highlight how much Bangladesh needs to adapt and innovate to meet the needs of its ever-growing population. Imagine walking through streets packed with food stalls, where traditional dishes pop up at every turn. In Bangladesh, this scene sparks curiosity and delights the senses. Freshly picked fruits, bold spices, and local favorites like fuchka and chotpoti are always ready to be enjoyed. But behind this inviting hustle and bustle, there's a hidden problem that's not always obvious at first glance. Many vendors rely on water from polluted sources or even sewage, compromising hygiene in food preparation. This puts both sellers and customers at risk, creating a tension between the richness of flavors and the lack of basic sanitation. The constant heat only adds to the concern, making it easier for insects to spread and keeping dust in the air. Yet despite these challenges, street food remains almost irresistibly tempting. And it's exactly this mix of excitement and hesitation that makes us wonder, how far are we willing to go for an authentic experience? Imagine living in a place where the lack of basic sanitation doesn't just make daily life harder, but also increases the risk of diseases like diarrhea and intestinal infections. In Bangladesh, this is a reality, and the consequences hit the most vulnerable groups the hardest, especially children and the elderly. Yet visitors to the country are often surprised by the warmth of the Bengali people. Genuine smiles, invitations for a hot cup of tea, and sometimes even a local celebration. This hospitality stands out even more because it contrasts so sharply with the struggles people face. Another serious challenge is air quality. Bangladesh consistently ranks as the most polluted country in the world. In Dhaka, the capital, simply walking down the street can be equivalent to smoking multiple cigarettes a day. The biggest culprit? Chaotic traffic packed with old vehicles that don't follow any kind of emission standards. As daily life carries on through all these hardships, one big question remains: how long can this situation last? Under the scorching heat, textile factories in Bangladesh continue using outdated processes, dumping untreated pollutants straight into the rivers. The pollution gets even worse with open-air burning and coal-fired kilns, releasing thick smoke and contaminating the air everyone breathes. Over time, respiratory problems, allergies, and heart disease have become common, reflecting the heavy price people pay. In the middle of this crisis, a little-known practice has emerged: the gold hunters. These workers sift through the sewer system, searching for tiny gold particles that get washed into the pipes, a risky and solitary job that many see as their only way to make a living. They learn to identify the best times to dive into the contaminated water. Even though they're fully aware of the dangers, they push forward because there's no other way to support their families. With risks of infections, hepatitis, and cholera, every dive is a test of endurance. The job demands absolute focus. One wrong move could be fatal. For these people, daily life means gambling with their own lives, hoping to find the faintest glimmer of gold. It's a reality that exposes a brutal choice: continue struggling with a lack of opportunities, or face the unseen dangers lurking underground. During rush hour in Bangladesh, trying to board a train or a bus isn't just inconvenient, it's dangerous. Crowds pack the doorways, cling to the sides, and even ride on the roof, risking their lives in a desperate attempt to reach their destination. The same scene plays out on boats navigating the country's rivers. Overcrowding turns every trip into a gamble, where a single misstep can lead to serious accidents. While thousands struggle with these daily transportation challenges, the situation in Dauladia, one of Asia's largest red light districts, is even more heartbreaking. Many women enter this world at a young age, lured by false promises or forced into it due to a lack of job opportunities. Although prostitution is legal, they live in harsh conditions, practically invisible to the laws and policies that should protect them. In this environment, violence and exploitation are constant, and the lack of opportunities pushes dreams further out of reach. At the same time, these women sustain a shadow economy that few talk about, one that exposes a tough and silent reality. In Bangladesh, marriage between cousins remains a common practice, partly as a way to protect property and keep families closely connected. While these bonds strengthen the sense of continuity across generations, they also come with clear risks. The biggest concern is the increased chance of genetic disorders, which can lead to neurological issues and birth defects. Still, many families continue this tradition, influenced by cultural values that emphasize family unity. In the same country, another tradition stands out: floating markets. In regions where roads are scarce or difficult to access, entire communities trade fruits, vegetables, and fish directly from boats. These markets are more than just gathering spots. They're a vital source of income for locals who rely on small-scale commerce. Today, however, this way of life is under serious threat. Rising river pollution and the effects of climate change are putting these markets at risk, challenging riverside communities' ability to keep their trade flowing and maintain a tradition that has fueled the economy for centuries. Imagine a place where clothing production never stops. In Bangladesh, factories are everywhere, working non-stop to supply major international brands like Zara and Primark. Most of the workers, mainly women, endure shifts that can last up to 12 hours, constantly pushed to meet strict production targets. Their monthly salary often doesn't exceed $75, sparking criticism from labor rights organizations. At the same time, another major crisis is hitting the country hard: river pollution. Industrial waste and sewage have changed the color and smell of the water, which once sustained entire communities. Fishing, a key source of income and food for many families, has nearly disappeared in some areas. On top of that, the lack of clean drinking water puts the health of countless people at risk, as they have no choice but to rely on contaminated sources. This reality highlights a country caught between the booming textile industry and worsening environmental degradation. The challenges Bangladesh faces go far beyond the fast-paced factory work. It's also battling pollution that threatens both public health and livelihoods. While international brands profit from cheap labor, local communities are fighting to protect their rivers and secure a more sustainable future for everyone. Imagine living in a place where holding hands might be acceptable, but any closer gesture draws curious looks. In Bangladesh, physical contact is a sensitive topic, even among close family members. A spontaneous hug in public is uncommon, and a kiss can lead to immediate disapproval. In daily life, even clothing choices reflect this deep sense of respect. especially for women who avoid wearing short or tight-fitting clothes. Men also follow tradition, opting for pants instead of shorts as a way to honor local customs. But despite all this caution, there are moments when Bangladesh bursts into color and celebration. Bengali New Year is one of them, a festival that fills the streets with parades, giant masks, and handcrafted puppets, all symbols of hope and renewal. In Dhaka, the city transforms into a massive stage where locals and visitors blend together, feeling the energy of this powerful tradition. During these festive days, everyday worries fade, and a sense of unity takes over, showing the resilience of a people who know how to celebrate, even in the face of challenges. If you want to learn even more about life in Bangladesh and explore other fascinating facts from around the world, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us keep bringing stories and perspectives that don't always make it into everyday conversations. Thanks for sticking around, and before you go, turn on notifications so you don't miss any new content. See you soon.